The Seventh Armada moved through space like a storm of metal and death. 300 warships flew in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming under the light of distant stars. At their center was the galaxy's edge, a super dreadnought twice the size of the destroyed Worldbreaker. Admiral Kang Ho stood on the massive command deck, his 4 yellow eyes fixed on the tactical displays. He had brought enough firepower to destroy every planet in the Sol system 10 times over. This time there would be no mistakes. The humans would learn what happened when they challenged the Galactic Federation. "How long until we reach human space?" he asked his navigation officer. 18 hours, Admiral. The fleet is maintaining formation and all ships report ready for combat. Kang Ho nodded his approval. The Seventh Armada was the Federation's most powerful fleet. It had conquered entire civilizations without losing a single ship. Whatever trick the humans had used to destroy the Worldbreaker would not work against 300 vessels. "Open a channel to all ship. Commanders," he ordered. The faces of his captains appeared on screens around the command deck. Each one commanded a ship capable of destroying continents. Together they represented the ultimate expression of Federation power. "My fellow officers," Kang Ho began, "we go to punish a species that has forgotten its place. The humans destroyed one of our ships through treachery and cowardice. We will show them the price of defying the Federation. No human world will survive our visit." The captains voiced their agreement. They had all heard about the Worldbreaker's destruction. Most thought it was impossible. The rest believed it was some kind of accident. None of them were worried about facing primitive human ships. Meanwhile, on Earth, Dr. Yoon-ji worked frantically in her laboratory. The quantum drive had worked better than anyone expected, but she needed to understand exactly what had happened. The antimatter explosion had created effects she was still trying to analyze. "The quantum pulse is still propagating through subspace," she explained to Captain Hanbin, who had come to check on her progress. "It's following the same pathways that alien ships use for communication and navigation." "What does that mean?" Hanbin asked. "All advanced alien technology appears to be connected through quantum field networks. They use them for everything: communications, navigation, power distribution, even life support. It's what makes their ship so powerful." Hanbin studied the complex diagrams on her screens. "But if they're all connected, exactly. A properly designed quantum disruption could cascade through their entire network. Instead of destroying one ship, we could potentially affect their whole fleet." In his workshop, engineer Taemin was already working on the problem. The Indomitable Will's quantum drive had been damaged in the battle with the Worldbreaker. Repairing it would take weeks they did not have. But he had a different idea. "We don't need to repair the drive," he explained to his engineering team. "We need to modify it, make it stronger. Instead of quantum jumping, we create a quantum bomb." His assistants looked worried. They were good engineers, but this was beyond anything they had attempted before. "Is that safe?" one of them asked. "Safe?" Taemin laughed, but there was no humor in it. "There's an alien fleet coming to destroy Earth. Safe is not an option anymore." The plan was even more dangerous than their attack on the Worldbreaker. Instead of using quantum space to get inside enemy shields, they would use it to attack the connections between all Federation ships. If it worked, every vessel in the enemy fleet would be affected simultaneously. If it failed, the quantum cascade might spread beyond the alien fleet. It could disrupt every piece of quantum technology in the solar system, including Earth's own ships and space stations. Captain Hanbin made the decision that would define humanity's future in the galaxy. "We try it. Better to risk everything than surrender to slavery." As the Seventh Armada approached Sol System, Admiral Kang Ho broadcast his demands to Earth. His message was simple and final: complete surrender or total destruction. "People of Earth," his voice echoed across every human communication system, "you have committed an act of war against the Galactic Federation. You destroyed one of our ships and killed thousands of our citizens. For this crime, your species will be punished." Kang Ho's image appeared on screens worldwide. His alien features and cold yellow eyes made him look like a creature from humanity's worst nightmares. "You have one choice: surrender unconditionally, accept Federation rule. Your governments will be dissolved. Your military will be disbanded. Your people will serve as workers in our empire. In return, we will allow most of you to live." The alien admiral paused, letting his words sink in. "If you refuse, we will demonstrate Federation justice. Your moon will be destroyed first, then your space stations, then your cities. We will continue until you surrender, or until your species is extinct. You have 12 hours to decide. Across Earth, people watched in fear and anger. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others demanded that their governments fight. Most simply waited to see what would happen. But Captain Hanbin was not waiting. The indomitable will had been repaired as much as possible. Their modified quantum drive was ready for one final mission. As the alien fleet entered the outer solar system, Hanbin prepared to meet them. All stations report ready, Communications Officer Insu announced. Quantum drive modifications are complete, Engineer Taemin added. But Captain, I have to warn you again. If this goes wrong, the cascade effect could spread beyond our control. We could accidentally destroy our own technology. And if we do nothing, the aliens will definitely destroy everything. Hanbin replied. Sometimes you have to risk everything to save anything. Dr. Yunji checked her calculations one final time. The quantum bomb would create a disruption wave that followed the same pathways alien ships used to communicate with each other, but those pathways connected to every piece of Federation technology across the galaxy. Captain, she said quietly, I think this will do more than just destroy their fleet. This could cascade through their entire civilization. Hanbin considered her words. The Federation had ruled the galaxy through fear and superior technology. They had enslaved countless species and destroyed anyone who resisted. If humanity could break their technological advantage, it might free every species under Federation control. Good, he said finally. Maybe it's time for their empire to fall. The 7th Armada spread into attack formation as it approached Earth's orbit. 300 warships prepared to rain destruction on humanity's homeworld. Their quantum networks synchronized for maximum combat efficiency, linking every ship in a web of instantaneous communication. Admiral Kang Ho watched the formation deploy with satisfaction. The humans would see this overwhelming display of force and surrender immediately. No species had ever resisted when faced with the full might of a Federation armada. Admiral, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission from the human ship that survived our last encounter. Put it on screen, Kang Ho ordered. Let me hear their surrender. Captain Hanbin's face appeared on the alien command deck. Once again, Kang Ho expected to see fear or desperation. Instead, the human looked calm and determined. Admiral Kang Ho, Hanbin said clearly, this is Captain Hanbin of the Earth Defense Force. You have brought a fleet to destroy our world. You demand our surrender. You threaten our people. Kang Ho leaned forward, interested despite himself. We have a different proposal, Hanbin continued. Leave our system immediately. Return to your empire. Tell them that Earth is not afraid of bullies no matter how many ships they bring. The alien admiral laughed, the sound echoing across his command deck. Human, you face 300 Federation warships. Your tiny vessel cannot stand against us. Surrender now and your death will be quick, Hanbin smiled. It was the same cold smile he had shown Admiral Su Jin. You didn't learn the lesson from the World Breaker, he said. Let us teach it again. The transmission ended. Admiral Kang Ho shook his head in amazement. The humans were either insane or incredibly brave. Either way, they would be dead soon. All ships prepare to fire, he commanded. Target their space stations first. Let them watch their orbital facilities burn. But something was happening to the human ship. Energy readings spiked beyond anything the Federation sensors had ever recorded. Space around the Indomitable will began to twist and bend in impossible ways. What are they doing now? Kang Ho demanded. Unknown, Admiral. They're generating some kind of quantum field. It's unlike anything in our databases. For the first time, Admiral Kang Ho felt a touch of the same worry that had killed Admiral Su Jin. The humans were doing something that Federation science could not explain. And in his experience, unknown weapons were the most dangerous ones. Fire immediately, he ordered. Destroy that ship before they can complete whatever they're doing. But it was already too late. The Indomitable Will activated its modified quantum drive, sending a cascade wave racing through the quantum networks that connected every Federation ship. The lesson was about to begin. The Worldbreaker moved through space like a metal mountain. Admiral Su Jin stood on her command deck, watching the small blue planet grow larger on her screens. She had commanded this ship for 20 years. In that time, she had forced 43 different species to surrender without firing a single shot. Su Jin's people, the Korthani, had skin like polished stone and eyes that glowed blue in the dark. She was taller than most humans with long arms that ended in clawed hands. Her uniform was covered with medals from successful campaigns. She expected this mission to be the easiest one yet. "Report," she commanded her crew. "We are approaching the third planet's moon," her weapons officer replied. "All systems are ready. The reality cannon is charged and waiting." Sujin nodded. The reality cannon was their most powerful weapon. It could break apart the bonds that held atoms together. When it fired, solid matter simply stopped existing. She had used it to destroy space stations, fleets of warships, and entire moons. The humans would watch their moon disappear and immediately understand their situation. "Any response from the humans?" she asked. "They sent several messages, Admiral. They want to talk. They ask for more time to consider our demands." Sujin made a sound like grinding metal. Every species asked for more time. They all wanted to talk. They thought words could somehow change the facts. The facts were simple. The Federation was strong and they were weak. "Open a channel to their planet," she ordered. On Earth, billions of people watched their screens as an alien face appeared. Sujin's stone-like features and glowing eyes made her look like something from a nightmare. When she spoke, her voice was cold and final. "People of Earth, I am Admiral Sujin of the Galactic Federation. You have been given a choice. Surrender now and become part of our empire. Refuse and watch your world burn. You have 1 hour to decide." The transmission ended. Across Earth, people argued about what to do. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others wanted to fight. Most were simply afraid. But in space, Captain Hanbin was not arguing. He was acting. The indomitable will was small compared to the alien ship, but it was fast. Hanbin had spent the last day studying everything they knew about the world breaker. Dr. Yunji had made an important discovery about alien technology. Their ships are massive because they use energy shields for protection, she explained to the crew. They make their hulls thick, but the metal itself is just ordinary matter. They've never needed to make it stronger because nothing gets through their shields. Engineer Taman looked up from his workstation. He was young, barely 25, but he understood their ship better than anyone. "What about our new drive system?" he asked. Yunji smiled for the first time in days. "That's the key. Our quantum drive doesn't just move us faster than light. For a few seconds, it puts us in a state where we exist between normal space and quantum space. If we time it right, we could appear inside their shields," Hanbin finished. "Inside their ship, exactly. And if we're carrying antimatter when we do it," the plan was insane. It was dangerous. It would probably kill them all. But it might work. And if it worked, it would save Earth. Taman worked quickly to prepare their secret weapon. Humanity had just learned to make small amounts of antimatter. Most of it was used for fuel, but they had some left over. Enough for one very large explosion. "The containment field is ready," Taman reported. "But Captain, if this goes wrong, we won't just die. We'll take out half the solar system." "If we don't try, they'll destroy Earth anyway," Hanbin replied. "At least this way we go down fighting." On the world breaker, Sujin watched the human ship approaching. Her sensors showed it was tiny and primitive. Its hull was made of simple metal alloys. Its weapons were chemical rockets with small nuclear warheads. She had seen cargo ships that were more dangerous. "Admiral," her tactical officer called out, "the human ship is accelerating toward us. Are they attacking?" Sujin asked, amused. "It appears so, Admiral. They're heading straight for us." Sujin laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Brave little creatures. Let them come close. I want them to see the reality cannon charge up. I want them to understand what real power looks like before they die." The Worldbreaker's massive weapon began to glow. Energy coursed through systems larger than city blocks. The reality cannon was preparing to erase Earth's moon from existence. It would be a demonstration that no human could ignore. "Admiral," the communications officer said, "the human ship is trying to contact us. Put them on screen. Let me see their fear." Captain Hanbin's face appeared on the alien bridge. Sujin expected to see terror, desperation, maybe a last attempt to beg for mercy. Instead, she saw something that confused her. The human looked calm, determined, almost confident. "Alien ship," Hanbin said clearly. "This is Captain Hanbin of the Earth vessel Indomitable Will. You have threatened our world and our people. You have given us an ultimatum. Now we give you one." Sujin's crew looked at each other in confusion. The humans were giving them an ultimatum. "Leave our solar system immediately," Hanbin continued. "Return to wherever you came from. Tell your Federation that Earth is not afraid of bullies. If you refuse, we will show you what happens when you threaten humanity." For a moment, Sujin was too surprised to speak. Then she began laughing again, louder this time. Her crew joined in. The idea that this tiny ship could threaten the World Breaker was the funniest thing they had heard in years. "Little human," Sujin said when she stopped laughing. "Your ship is smaller than my waste disposal system. Your weapons could not scratch our paint. What could you possibly do to threaten us?" Hanbin smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We're about to show you." The transmission ended. On the World Breaker, Sujin shook her head. Humans were clearly insane, but they would learn. The reality cannon was almost ready to fire. "Target their moon," she ordered. "Let's give them their demonstration." But something was happening to the human ship. Sujin's sensors showed energy readings that made no sense. The small vessel was glowing with a strange light. Space around it was beginning to bend and twist. "What are they doing?" she demanded. "Unknown, Admiral. Their energy output just increased by 1,000%. They're generating some kind of field we've never seen before." Sujin felt the first small touch of worry. In 20 years of commanding the World Breaker, nothing had ever surprised her. She didn't like surprises. "Fire the reality cannon," she ordered. "Destroy their moon now." The massive weapon began to charge for its final firing sequence. At the same time, the indomitable will activated its quantum drive. The two ships raced toward a moment that would change galactic history forever. Neither side knew that in 30 seconds, the balance of power in the galaxy would shift completely. The Federation's age of dominance was about to end, destroyed by one small ship and the courage of 40 human beings who refused to surrender. The massive ship hung in space like a floating city. Its metal walls stretched for miles in every direction. Inside, thousands of alien beings moved through corridors that could fit entire buildings. This was the Eternal Dominion, home to the most powerful rulers in the galaxy. Admiral Kang Ho walked into the main meeting room. His 6 arms moved with practiced grace as he carried data tablets. His gray skin had the texture of old leather, and his 4 eyes glowed with a cold yellow light. He had destroyed more worlds than most beings could count. Today, he brought news of another target. The Galactic Federation Council sat around a table made from the bones of some long-dead creature. These aliens had ruled the galaxy for over 2,000 years. They controlled millions of ships and billions of soldiers. Every species in known space either served them or died fighting them. Counselor Dae-jin looked up from his reading. His snake-like body coiled around his floating chair. His voice came out like steam from a broken pipe. "What news do you bring us, Admiral?" Kang Ho activated his data display. A 3-dimensional map appeared above the table. It showed a small yellow star with several planets around it. "We have discovered a new species in the outer rim. They call themselves humans. They live in a system called Sol." The other council members leaned forward. New species meant new slaves or new examples to make. Either way, it usually meant easy victory. "Tell us about their military power," said another counselor. This one looked like a giant insect with too many teeth. Kang Ho smiled, showing his own rows of sharp teeth. "They have just learned to travel faster than light. Their ships are made of simple metal. They use chemical rockets and primitive nuclear weapons. Our smallest patrol boat could destroy their entire fleet." The council members made sounds that might have been laughter. They had heard this story many times before. Every new species thought they were strong until they met the Federation. Dae-jin's eyes glowed brighter. "How many ships do they have?" "Perhaps 50 vessels that can travel between stars," Kang Ho replied. "Most are small research ships or cargo carriers. They have no real warships. And their population? About 8 billion on their home world. A few small colonies on nearby planets. Nothing significant." The council discussed the situation. It was always the same discussion. A new species needed to learn their place in the galaxy. The Federation would show them who was in charge. Then the species would either surrender or be destroyed. "Send a single dreadnought," Dae-jin decided. "Destroy one of their moons. When they see our power, they will surrender quickly. This should take no more than a few days." Kang Ho nodded. "Which ship shall I send?" "The World Breaker. Admiral Sujin commands it well. She has never failed to secure a surrender." Far away in the Sol system, Captain Hanbin stood on the bridge of his ship. The indomitable will was not large or impressive. It measured only 300 meters long. Its hull was made of steel and ceramic plates. Inside, a crew of 40 humans worked to keep everything running. Hanbin was young for a ship captain, only 35 years old. His black hair was cut short in military style. His dark eyes showed both intelligence and determination. He had volunteered for this mission because someone had to be first. Someone had to go out and see what was waiting for humanity among the stars. "Captain," called communications officer Insu from her station. "We're getting something strange on the deep space monitors." Hanbin walked over to look at her screens. Insu was good at her job. She could pull signals out of space noise that other people missed. If she said something was strange, it probably was. "What kind of strange?" he asked. "It's big, sir. Really big. And it's coming toward us fast." The main screen changed to show what their sensors had found. Hanbin felt his stomach drop. A ship was approaching the outer edge of their solar system. But calling it a ship was like calling an ocean a puddle. "How big is that thing?" he asked quietly. "Computer says 50 kilometers long, sir. Maybe 15 kilometers wide. It's bigger than some asteroids." Dr. Yunji joined them on the bridge. She was the ship's science officer and the smartest person Hanbin had ever met. Her small frame and quiet voice hid a mind that could solve problems others could not even understand. "I've been analyzing the signals it's sending," she said. "Captain, this is first contact. This is an alien ship." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone had known this day might come. Humanity had only been traveling between stars for 5 years. They had always wondered if they would meet other intelligent life. Now they had their answer. "What are they saying?" Hanbin asked. Yunji looked worried. "They're broadcasting in multiple languages. Some of them appear to be human languages, but older versions. They must have been studying us." "And the message?" "They want us to surrender. Immediately and completely. They say they represent something called the Galactic Federation. They claim to rule this entire region of space." Hanbin felt cold. "What happens if we don't surrender?" "They say they will demonstrate their power by destroying our moon. Then they will destroy Earth if we still refuse." The alien message continued playing across their communication systems. The voice was cold and mechanical. It spoke about humanity as if they were misbehaving children who needed punishment. "They're giving us 72 hours to decide," Yunji continued. "After that, they start shooting." Hanbin looked at the massive alien ship on his screen. Humanity had never built anything even close to that size. Their most powerful weapons were nuclear missiles that could destroy cities. This alien ship looked like it could destroy entire continents. "Send a message to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them what we found. Tell them we need instructions." But even as he gave the order, Hanbin was already making his own plans. He looked at his crew, these brave humans who had volunteered to explore space. They were far from home, facing something beyond their understanding. But they were still human, and humans did not like being bullied. The alien ship continued its approach, confident and unstoppable. Its crew had done this hundreds of times before. They expected fear, surrender, and quick victory. They had never met a species like humanity. They had never met people who would rather fight impossible odds than give up their freedom. In 72 hours, they would learn something new about the galaxy. They would learn why it was dangerous to threaten Earth. The universe held its breath. Captain Hanbin watched his screens as the Worldbreaker's reality cannon began its final charge sequence. The massive weapon glowed with energy that could unmake matter itself. In 20 seconds, Earth's moon would simply cease to exist. Then the aliens would turn that terrible weapon on Earth. "Quantum drive is ready," Engineer Taemin called out. His voice was steady, but his hands shook as he worked. "Antimatter containment is holding." "We have one shot at this, Captain." "All crew prepare for quantum jump," Hanbin announced. He looked around his bridge at the 40 humans who had volunteered for this mission. They were young, brave, and about to attempt something no one had ever tried before. "It's been an honor serving with all of you." Dr. Yunji checked her calculations one final time. The quantum drive would put their ship in a state between normal space and subspace. For exactly 3 seconds, they would exist in both places at once. If her math was correct, they could occupy the same space as the alien ship without actually touching it. If her math was wrong, both ships would explode instantly. 10 seconds to quantum activation, Taemin announced. On the Worldbreaker, Admiral Sujin watched the human ship with growing confusion. Her sensors showed impossible readings. The small vessel was somehow generating more energy than ships 10 times its size. Space around it was bending in ways that hurt to look at. "Admiral," her science officer called out, his voice worried. "We're detecting massive quantum fluctuations. The humans are doing something to the fabric of space itself." "Impossible," Sujin replied. Their technology is primitive. They barely understand faster than light travel. The readings don't lie, Admiral. Whatever they're doing, it's beyond our understanding. Su-Jin felt something she had not experienced in decades. Uncertainty. The humans were supposed to be simple, weak, easily frightened. They were not supposed to have weapons that confused her scientists. Fire the reality cannon, she ordered. Now, the Worldbreaker's main weapon discharged with the power of a small star. Energy that could erase mountains shot toward Earth's moon. But at the exact same moment, the indomitable will activated its quantum drive. The human ship disappeared, not destroyed, not vaporized, but simply gone. Su-Jin's sensors could not find it anywhere. 1 second it was there, the next it had vanished completely. Where did they go? Su-Jin demanded. Unknown, Admiral. They're not on any of our sensors. It's like they never existed. But Dr. Yunji's calculations had been perfect. The indomitable will had not disappeared. It had shifted into quantum space, existing in a state where it was both real and not real at the same time. And in that impossible state, it was occupying the exact same space as the Worldbreaker. Inside the quantum field, Captain Hanbin could see the alien ship around them like a ghost. Massive corridors and rooms passed through his bridge. Alien crew members moved like shadows through his walls. For 3 seconds, 2 ships existed in the same place. Now, Hanbin shouted. Taemin released the antimatter containment field. What happened next had never occurred before in the history of the galaxy. Antimatter and matter met while existing in quantum superposition. The explosion did not happen in normal space. It happened in the space between spaces, in the realm where reality was not quite decided. The effect was devastating. The antimatter did not just explode. It unraveled the quantum structure of everything around it. The Worldbreaker's 50 kilometers of advanced hull simply ceased to exist, atom by atom, as if it had never been built. Admiral Su-Jin had one moment to understand what was happening. She saw her ship dissolving around her, saw her crew members fading like smoke. Her last thought was complete confusion. How had the weakest species she had ever encountered destroyed the most powerful ship in the galaxy? The indomitable will emerged from quantum space badly damaged but intact. Sparks flew from broken systems. Half their crew was unconscious. The hull had cracks that would take months to repair. But they were alive, and the Worldbreaker was gone. Report, Hanbin called out, pulling himself from the floor where the quantum jump had thrown him. Alien ship is completely destroyed. Captain, Insu announced from her damaged communication station. I'm not detecting any debris. It's like it was never there. Dr. Yunji checked her instruments with shaking hands. The antimatter reaction created a localized quantum collapse. The alien ship didn't just explode. Its matter was converted back to base energy. There's nothing left. Casualties? Hanbin asked. 12 crew members injured, none seriously, reported the medical officer. We were lucky, Captain. That could have killed us all. But it didn't, Hanbin said. And we saved Earth. Communications officer Insu looked up from her station. Captain, I'm picking up signals from across the galaxy. The alien ship's destruction sent out some kind of quantum pulse. Every advanced civilization out there knows something happened here. Good, Hanbin replied. Let them know. Send a message on all frequencies. Tell them that Earth is under human protection. Tell them that anyone who threatens our world will face the same fate as the Worldbreaker. Across the galaxy, alien civilizations received that message with shock and disbelief. The Galactic Federation had ruled for thousands of years. Their ships were invincible. Their technology was beyond question. The idea that a primitive species had destroyed a Federation dreadnought was impossible. But the quantum signature did not lie. The Worldbreaker had been completely destroyed by unknown weapons. Every alien government immediately began emergency meetings. Some wanted to investigate. Others wanted to hide. All of them were afraid. On the Federation capital ship Eternal Dominion, Admiral Kang Ho stared at his instruments in confusion. The Worldbreaker's quantum signature had simply vanished from his sensors. One moment the ship was there, the next it was gone. Technical malfunction, he told himself. The sensors are wrong, but deep down he knew the truth. Somehow, impossibly, the humans had destroyed Admiral Su-Jin and her entire ship. The species they had dismissed as primitive had weapons that could challenge the Federation itself. Counselor Dae-Jin received the report with cold anger. The humans had killed thousands of Federation citizens. They had destroyed a ship that took 50 years to build. Most importantly, they had made the Federation look weak. "Send the 7th Armada," he ordered. 300 ships. Every human world will burn for this insult. The Federation did not understand what had happened. They thought the humans had somehow gotten lucky. They thought overwhelming force would solve the problem, just as it always had before. They did not realize that humanity had just learned something important about galactic civilization. All alien technology was connected through quantum networks. All their ships, all their weapons, all their defenses used the same basic quantum principles. And if those principles could be disrupted, turned against themselves, then the most powerful empire in galactic history could be brought down by a single ship with the right weapon and the courage to use it. Captain Hanbin looked out at the stars and smiled. The galaxy had just learned not to threaten Earth. Soon it would learn much more about humanity, whether it wanted to or not. The moment Captain Hanbin gave the order, the galaxy changed forever. "Activate quantum cascade," he commanded. Engineer Taemin's hands moved across his controls with practiced precision. The modified quantum drive hummed to life, but this time it was not designed to move their ship. Instead, it created something that had never existed before. A quantum virus that could travel through the networks connecting all Federation technology. The effect was immediate and devastating. On the galaxy's edge, Admiral Kang Ho watched in horror as his command screens began flickering. Strange energy patterns raced through his ship's systems like liquid fire. Warning alarms sounded from every section. "Report," he shouted over the noise. "Admiral, we're experiencing cascade failures in all quantum-linked systems," his chief engineer replied, panic clear in his voice. "The networks are being invaded by some kind of disruption wave." Around the massive ship, similar scenes played out on every vessel in the 7th Armada. Captains who had never seen their systems fail watched helplessly as their most advanced technology turned against itself. The quantum virus spread through the Federation fleet faster than thought. It followed the same pathways the aliens used for instant communication between ships, but instead of carrying messages, it carried destruction. Captain Minwoo of the dreadnought Starbreaker watched his weapon systems shut down one by one. "Engineering, what's happening to my ship?" "The quantum field generators are overloading, Captain. The containment fields around our antimatter cores are destabilizing. We need to evacuate the ship immediately." Similar conversations happened on 300 Federation vessels simultaneously. Ships that had conquered galaxies were being destroyed by their own technology. But the cascade was not finished. It raced beyond the 7th Armada, following quantum network connections across the galaxy at faster-than-light speeds. Every Federation ship, space station, and quantum-connected facility began experiencing the same systematic failure. On the capital ship Eternal Dominion, Counselor Dae-jin felt his world collapse around him. Reports flooded in from across the Federation. Fleets that had patrolled for centuries were going dark. Space stations housing billions of citizens were broadcasting evacuation orders. Entire star systems were losing their quantum infrastructure. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his science advisors. "The humans have somehow weaponized our own networks," one of them replied, his voice shaking. "They've created a cascade failure that propagates through any quantum-linked system. Our interconnected technology has become our weakness." Dae-jin's snake-like body coiled in frustration and fear. The Federation's greatest strength had always been their quantum networks. They allowed instant communication across galactic distances, coordinated fleet movements, and shared technological resources. Now those same networks were carrying their destruction. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Kang Ho watched his mighty fleet dissolve before his eyes. The galaxy's edge shuddered as its quantum core destabilized. Around him, other ships were already breaking apart as their own systems turned against them. "All ships abandon quantum networks," he ordered desperately. "Switch to backup systems. Cut all quantum connections." But it was too late. The cascade had already invaded every linked system. Ships that tried to disconnect found their quantum cores had already been compromised. The virus had spread too quickly and penetrated too deeply. Captain Hanbin watched the alien fleet's destruction from the bridge of the indomitable will. 300 warships that had seemed invincible minutes before were now drifting hulks. Some exploded as their antimatter containment failed. Others simply went dark as their power systems collapsed. "Incredible," Dr. Yunji whispered, studying her readings. "The cascade is still propagating. It's spreading beyond the local fleet. Captain, I think we've affected their entire civilization. Communications Officer Insu monitored the quantum frequencies, listening to desperate messages from across the galaxy. Federation ships everywhere are reporting system failures. Their space stations are evacuating. Captain, we've brought down their entire empire. The scale of what they had accomplished was almost impossible to understand. One small human ship had destroyed not just a fleet, but the technological foundation of galactic civilization's most powerful empire. On his dying flagship, Admiral Kang Ho made one final transmission before his systems failed completely. His message reached every functioning receiver in the galaxy. "To all Federation forces," he said, his voice heavy with defeat and warning. "The humans, they have weaponized our quantum networks. They can turn our own technology against us. Evacuate all quantum-connected systems immediately. The humans are not what we thought they were." The transmission cut off as the galaxy's edge's communication array finally collapsed. Admiral Kang Ho and his ship drifted powerless in space, defeated by an enemy he had never understood. The cascade continued for 3 standard galactic days. It raced through quantum networks that had taken millennia to build, destroying the technological superiority that had made Federation rule possible. When it finally burned itself out, 60% of all Federation infrastructure had been destroyed or severely damaged. Entire fleets had been reduced to scrap metal. Space stations older than human civilization were now floating debris. The quantum networks that had held the Federation together were gone, leaving scattered survivors isolated and vulnerable. On Earth, humanity watched the reports coming in from across the galaxy with mixture of amazement and fear. They had saved their world, but they had also unleashed something far beyond their original intentions. Dr. Ng studied the final cascade data with growing concern. "Captain, the effect was much stronger than our models predicted. If we had used just slightly more antimatter, the cascade might have propagated through every quantum network in the galaxy." "You mean it could have destroyed all galactic civilization?" Hanbin asked. "Not destroyed, but severely damaged. Every species that uses quantum technology would have been affected. We came very close to ending technological civilization as we know it." Engineer Taman looked up from his damage reports. "The quantum drive is completely burned out. We can't create another cascade like this. This was a one-time weapon." "Good," Hanbin replied quietly. "No one should have the power to destroy entire civilizations. Not even us." Across the galaxy, the surviving Federation forces struggled to understand what had happened. Their empire, which had seemed eternal and invincible, had been brought down in 3 days by a species they had dismissed as primitive. But the real change was deeper than military defeat. Species that had been under Federation rule for centuries sensed the weakness of their oppressors. Rebellion sparked on 1,000 worlds. Independent civilizations that had lived in fear of Federation fleets suddenly found their courage. The humans had not just won a battle. They had broken the psychological hold that the Federation had maintained through technological superiority. If one small human ship could destroy the mighty 7th Armada, then perhaps the Federation was not invincible after all. Captain Hanbin stood on his bridge, looking out at the drifting remains of the alien fleet. His small crew had accomplished something that would be remembered for millennia. They had saved Earth and freed the galaxy from tyranny, but they had also learned something sobering about power. The quantum cascade had been more destructive than anyone intended. It had shown that even a small group of determined people could wield weapons capable of changing the fate of entire civilizations. "Communications Officer Insu," he said formally, "send a message on all galactic frequencies." "Yes, Captain." "What should it say?" Hanbin thought carefully about his words. They would be heard by every surviving civilization in the galaxy. They would help define humanity's role in the new order that was emerging from the Federation's collapse. "To all species and civilizations," he began. "This is Captain Hanbin of Earth. The Galactic Federation's fleet has been defeated. Their empire of fear and oppression is ending, but humanity does not seek to replace them as your rulers. We offer friendship to all peaceful species and protection to those who need it. The galaxy belongs to all of us, not to any single empire." The message went out across the stars, carrying hope to species that had forgotten what freedom looked like. The age of Federation dominance was over. The age of human influence was about to begin, but first humanity would have to learn how to use their new power wisely. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see what kind of neighbors these remarkable humans would be.